heard about what it's like during their time. I lived through the Bielema era of what to expect from him. From Paul Chryst before 2020 of what it was like in 2017-19 going to those Big Ten championship games, there was an identity. And I'm not going to lie, Coach, I'm lost. And so maybe as you had called me out for being impatient and how that's wrong, help me figure out what the identity of this football team is, because I'm struggling with it. It feels very unclear to me.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I'd like to see it myself. For so many years, when I took the job, I said one thing we're going to do. I looked at the type of players I felt we could consistently recruit. And you look around the state, and I'd have a summer camp, and you'd have 500 kids there, and 300 of them were linemen. And they're 6th grade to 10th grade, and they're 6 foot to 6'6", and a bunch of them from 250 over 300 pounds. I figured we could find some linemen consistently, and that's where you start in Wisconsin, by being physical, and so that was the mantra of our whole program. And I guess maybe I'm crying. I'm crying to see the same thing, or crying to see that physicality.
Yeah, Coach, when I watch this team, it looks different from all of the years that you established in the 90s and 2000s, and different from the teams I played on. And, to see the lack of physicality that Wisconsin's known for, and, owning the line of scrimmage. I'm a punter, for crying out loud, and it's hard for me to, see how far it seems like it's gone from what Wisconsin's known for. So I'm in Ben's camp, where I'm in more of the impatient, where I don't need to see this team making the college football playoff, but a signature win, string together some impressive wins against good football teams. So if you think that our impatience isn't where we should be, how long will it take for you before you start to say, okay, now is the time? And what should we be looking for along the way until that moment hits?
Yeah, let me backtrack a little bit. I guess I'm a defender of our program. So if somebody takes a shot at it, my natural response is to defend it, because I have so much invested in it, and I want it to do well. So that was a reflex action on a statement. To answer your question, I don't know what the answer is. People, most guys, when they take a job, they say when they take a job, normally it's a bad job. It's a situation like I inherited, where you probably have 4 legitimate Division I players on a roster. You have a bunch of guys that really shouldn't be on a Division I roster, and they've been losing for a long time. Coach loses his job, and then it takes you a while to rebuild that program. Well, this program has been winning and going to bowl games. So, I can sense frustration. Just because you have a new coach doesn't mean you step back and say we got to rebuild for 4 years. That's not the case.
As we're talking with Barry Alvarez here, thanks to Barry for taking some time to join us here on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman. Just Brad Nortman and Ben Brust here, no Kyle Wallace. Coach, if it was a 42-10 loss against Iowa in your second year of that type of game, what would your message be? Because I think that's what I carry over, is when I come out of a bye week watching other teams, and then I have more clarity about where the team that I love is. That's where my frustration landed yesterday, of watching Indiana, right? Curt Cignetti's done a phenomenal job. I don't care what their schedule's been. They've taken care of it. As you know, you can only take care of what's in front of you. And they have guys from James Madison, who was a good football program last year, blowing stuff up, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous, Coach. 42-10 against Iowa. What would you say to your team? How does that make you feel? Because that's where I'm saying I'm impatient. It's not that. Look, I love what Luke Fickell has said. Right? He said they wanted to compete for national championships. He said he's a nose tackle from Ohio State that's been a part of coaching a team that's won a national championship. And I just feel like there's a disconnect from what I've been told from what I'm seeing. And I know I've asked a lot of things there. I'm just sharing a little bit of my frustration. What do you take of everything I'm putting out there right now? Because I want this program to be successful, because I love Badger football. I love when Saturdays mean something more, and I miss it.
Yeah, I get you. I know where you're coming from, and it is frustrating, and it's really frustrating for me because there's no one I'd rather beat than Iowa to start with. And, for so many years, Iowa couldn't score more than 2 touchdowns and still won and still found ways to win. To see, I'm looking at 2 sides. I'm seeing them right their ship because they're always going to play good defense. But to be able to put 42 points on us, that was frustrating. That was very frustrating for me. I guess I understand fans' disappointment. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I'm frustrated, but I have confidence in this staff. I think we have good players. We're not playing up to our capability right now. I don't think.
Yeah, look, and Coach, I appreciate you joining right now because, it comes in a place of, like, I know that when you see this, you're like Brad, myself, and every other Badger. We want things fixed as soon as possible, and it's not to say that Luke Fickell cannot do it. It's just trying to find the path to do that. And so as you look at this football team, you got Oregon, you got Nebraska, you got Minnesota. What would Coach Alvarez like to see the next 3 games to instill confidence, not just in the team itself, but to fans looking for the turnaround that we all hope for?
You know what I'd like to see? I'd really like to see teams show up and really compete hard and get after Oregon. You're playing the number 1 team in the country. Instead of showing up and kind of pussyfooting your way in there and feeling your way around, get after the number 1 team in the country and show the fans and show the Wisconsin people that there's some fight in this outfit and that you're ready to compete and compete at the highest level. And that's as far as I would go.
Send the clip to the team, Strofe. Send it. This is the man. If you hear the man say that, you do what the man says. I want to run through a wall for you, Coach. I don't want to see this. I'll go squat the rest of my life and give me 1-year eligibility, and I'll do my damnedest to make you proud because I can't sit and bear this anymore. I just love the Badgers. Brad, take over while I take a
Ben, we're going to have to toughen you up a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of bit. I mean, Barry
we're going to do a lot. You're going to do a lot of squats. I want to see you put your nose on somebody's chest.
Coach Alvarez, I'm just thinking about as Coach Fickell seeks to build what we all want him to build, right? And I'm thinking about this time in this new age of college football in NIL. And, I just wonder, do you think that NIL hurts or helps Wisconsin as they try to attract talent? Because to me, when I was being recruited, I looked to all the things that Wisconsin had that were just check and box right after left, where it's great education, great experience, elite, the best game day experience, and you go there and win and play tough. And I just wonder if those things are watered down as these young players maybe prioritize money over everything else. So that I struggle with when it comes to college football. So do you think that NIL helps or hurts Wisconsin as we try to build for the future?
I would say that really elevates a lot of teams that normally wouldn't be able to compete with us in recruiting. Because I think, number one, what you said was exactly right. And I saw that that's why I took the job when I did. They hadn't been successful, but there was no reason why they couldn't and shouldn't be successful with the quality of the university, the city, the campus, the support that we have, the stadium. It had everything was there, and I don't know anyone, and you guys can speak for yourselves. I don't know anyone that even went to Wisconsin that didn't have a great experience. So it's a place where you can recruit players. You can get players to come and play. Players want to be there. Now, if someone else throws a bunch of money around, that's certainly going to affect a lot of players. So, we've got to be in that game too, and we've got to be competitive in that arena.
Yes, we're talking with Barry Alvarez here on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman. No Kyle, Ben Brust, former punter for the Badgers. Brad Nortman, joined by Barry Alvarez. And Barry, I do want to talk a little bit about what is a fun weekend that you were a part of as an athletic director. This weekend is a special weekend, having the 2014 and 15 Final Four team in the building for the basketball game against Arizona on Friday and at the football game on Saturday. Give me your top memory of being an athletic director for the football and basketball program.
Wow. Well, for the football program, going to the Rose Bowls, and that one stretch we went 3 in a row. The three that we won when I was the head coach, those you can't. Now you shoot for playoffs and national championship, but back then, the focus by everyone in the Big Ten was the Rose Bowl. So when we take the job, and in the 90s we go to 3 and we win 3, and the Big Ten hadn't won. I don't know if the Big Ten had won a total of 3, in the history, because they hadn't won very many Rose Bowls. So those are highlights in basketball. One of those the Final Fours, and the magnitude of that were college basketball and basketball in general, all convenes in one location, and it's your team, it's my team, it's your team that's playing, and you're the focus of the whole nation. Every one of those was special. So those were really, really special times, and we're doing both of those at the same time. You think of the quality of the athletes that came through our place and compete at the highest level and be very competitive. That was really a special time.
Hey, Coach, can you promise me one thing? If things go a little bit south at halftime, can I sneak up to the suite to share a cold one with you?
Absolutely.
Love that hospitality. Coach Alvarez, I want you to think about all the teams that you coach, you specifically coached. And if you were to pluck one player off of those teams and drop them onto this current Wisconsin Badger team, to be able to really say, now this is the guy that this program should look like, and this is the guy that can lead and do all that kind of stuff, what would be that one player that you would pick up from your coaching career and drop on this football team?
I'd pick one on each side of the ball.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, I'd take Ron Dayne.
Good choice.
He could run the offense. I mean, he's your offense. He was carrying the ball as an 18-year-old kid. He was carrying it 50 times a game for us. Defensively, I'd have to flip a coin. Tom Burke could really affect the game. He could really affect the game as a defensive lineman. But Donnell Thompson as a leader to bring a defense together was really special.
Hey, and Coach, lastly, before we let you go here, because we do appreciate the time, I do want to relive one moment because I would be yelled at by my family if I didn't ask, because I still don't believe you. I asked you this after a golf outing one time. Is it true that my brother Jonathan Brust at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee got the Oregon Duck to flip him off?
That is an absolute fact.
Well,
your brother, I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Me either,
His
Coach.
voice, he carries such that it pierced the duck's ears. I mean, you could hear him over the roar of the crowd, and he was torturing. He was torturing Oregon and really torturing the duck. And the duck finally had enough. And he turned around and flipped him the bird.
And that Brust family. Huh?
Well, we're going to do it again this weekend. Jonathan Brust against the Oregon Ducks on Saturday, and for the Final Four game on Friday against Arizona. Coach, I hope to see you this weekend, and appreciate you joining us.
Okay, guys. Have a good day.